Aloha. Today I wanted to speak on a video that I just came across online titled Michael Tellinger and Butu, Corey Goode, David Wilcock, Sphere Being Alliance. I just never seen these three individuals together. I heard about David Wilcock and Corey Goode kind of like teaming up in their whole alien information, ET information sharing, whatever kind of movement, but I never seen them linked up with Michael Tellinger. And I've listened to some of Michael Tellinger's stuff in the past, and at that time I got nothing really, no real red flags went up. I heard some good information at that time. I haven't revisited ever since, but the information was cool. But I've always kind of had like a little sideways look or eye on David Wilcock, because I was just intuitively, just like my feeling when I first heard of him and started listening to him was like, it threw me off a little bit. And then he started to like bump up his whole foundation with saying he was like the reincarnation of Edgar Casey and all this other stuff, or whether he said it or not, or somebody else said it, and he just didn't disagree with it. That was the whole thing. And I was just kind of like, well, what does that even matter for in the first place? Like, if you are here to do what you got to do as a person that you are today, what does it have to do with any person that you might have been in your previous incarnations? What the hell does that even got to do with anything? Like, but I heard it come up a number of times, and it sounded like he was being put out like as some kind of important individual. I heard a lot of fear and all that stuff. And then as far as Corey Goode, he's kind of new to me, but I heard him come out with the whole Blue Avians information and extraterrestrial stuff. So I just really wanted to expand the conversation from flat Earth and the Mandela effect, and relate it to how the extraterrestrial, the alien agenda is also still out there, and you reference like kind of the perspective I'm coming from by playing this video and kind of just explaining like what I'm seeing, and just kind of go with it, because this was a perfect example of like the whole utopian sort of presentation that gets put out there as like, oh, what we need to be doing, and the figureheads that get put out there as like, you need to listen to us, or even if they're not coming off that way, they're already presented, they're already put out there as that kind of atmosphere. Like, we have the answers of what we need to do next, because we're talking about good stuff. Like, we're talking about good stuff here, so just because we're out here and we got good stuff to be talking about, this is what we need to be doing, because we're saying like good things. So they're gonna reference like a utopian, like that, and utopian word and that whole thing. But my main point was like, you can hear how it's kind of like, we need to change towards the future. We need to change and forgive and just move on with things. See, my biggest issue is that, yes, I understand that we need to change and we need to practice forgiveness and look at all this stuff. But my main issue with the whole alien agenda and these individuals who speak on this whole utopian movement and this whole like idea of whatever like should be the next steps towards after the so-called powers that be take a seat or get moved to the side. My whole thing is that you can't, and they're talking about this that's the whole thing, this unity is like unify everything, when they're not really looking at the divinity in our differences, like the indigenous cultures, the cultures themselves. Is a lot of it goes into this whole like not wanting to look deeper into the stories that have been going on all over the world for so long, and only kind of like want to look to the future and just kind of like let everything go. That's not the way. You can't just focus on light and or creation, and not be aware of or address destruction at the same time, because destruction at the same time is a form of creation. They just want to focus on like utopian creation. And we have these alien sphere beings. They're gonna reference like kind of like, because they've been put out there as like looking to the aliens or whatever their idea of aliens or extraterrestrials is, to come down and save us. So like I've been talking about this for a while. Is like yeah, this whole savior mentality. And you'll hear it. They're kind of like defend themselves out there after that, and then move into like the whole, oh yeah, but we need to start looking on utopian and forgiveness and building this and that and doing that. My main point for making this video is that they're not looking at the harmonics of like the medicine wheel. They're not looking at like this stuff. They're not looking at the cultures that have already existed, the information that's already been here. Like, what does all this stuff mean? The ancient cosmology. They're only looking at the future and not looking at the storylines and the energy that exists, that has existed here already. So and that is immediately suspect to me, because it makes me see like makes me look into like even more like what's really going on here. If we're not talking about everything, then what are we really talking about? So yeah, one-sided extraterrestrial or alien or whatever conversations. This is why I'm making this video. So I just wanted to play this so you can hear kind of like the conversation. And then
Darwinism says that the most effective killer is the most highly evolved, the survival of the fittest.
And I didn't even recognize.
Yet if you look at the eukaryotic model of the cell, we have little microorganisms that at some point in our...
So right there, he starts off with Darwinism, and this is what my main point is they want to sub-level talk about information. So he already talking about Darwinism and evolution. That's where his foundation of what he's getting ready to say, and everybody's about to agree with that. He's coming from Darwinism, the cell, never going into the atomic nature, the atoms that build up that cell. Like this is like sub-level storylines in order to prove like a sub-level conversation piece in order to make a case towards whatever they're wanting to sell.
Distant past came together, formed a membrane around themselves. You be the ribosomes, you be the chromosomes. We over here.
See, all this stuff exists too. This is all like exists in some kind of way to where we can like digest it, and then they're just kind of like using it.
They're going to do the nucleus, and they had to work together and pool their resources to get a better result. Exactly. It's the nature of life itself.
That's David Wilcock.
Is to create individual cells that communicate and form organ systems, and the organs come together and they form a body.
Yes, you took the words right out of my mind. This is part of the Ubuntu teachings, if you can call it that, is to tell people that only out of unity will you ever attain infinite diversity. We have to come together as a group of living, breathing human beings and realize that together, out of our united efforts, we can then diversify into an infinite number of resonant, fractal activities, as long as we resonate together at the core center. From that resonant center, we can diversify into an infinite number of fractals, because we still resonate together. The moment we have dissonance, we have disease, and we have fractalization, and we have breaking up and death, right, and destruction.
If you built a...
See, there's something off with the way that is, because death has a place, destruction has a place. Like, I understand how they're talking about the the harmonics and symbiosis and like what needs to change and everything, but when you tell it on one-sided like that, there's something off about that. There's missing something there. They're trying to like sell something on some kind of layer. It just doesn't sit right with me ultimately, so I needed to say that. So yeah, whatever.
Computer that had a CPU that was in competition with the memory.
Exactly. So this is what I often
see. They're confusing like or they're mixing up like chaos, like the presence of chaos with or they're kind of like they're not recognizing the place of chaos and the balance between creation and destruction. They're only presenting a one-sided like light worker perspective, and I can speak on this because I used to come from this perspective. It was just like only talk about this, like light worker side. Don't ever look into the other side of creation, like the light and the dark. Like only talk about this, so they only talk about this, and then you'll see.
So in my workshops, and that is, think of your body and the trillions of cells in your body that all work together for the benefit of the community of cells, your body. They're not fighting each other. Symbiosis, cooperation, working together. And even if the trillions of some of the cells group together into specialized cells like your liver or your heart or your brain, they're still working together for the greater good of the whole body, the whole community of cells. We're going to start seeing ourselves like this and seeing ourselves and our families as the extension of the cells in our body, and our communities the extension of our families.
I can fully see why.
See, a harmonic perspective from one individual or one culture is different from the harmonic perspective of a different culture. That's what pisses me off and gets me going about this. And when they say like, oh yeah, this is what harmony and symbiosis is all about. It's different. This is like dancing. Like not everybody dances the same way. Not everybody plays the same music. Everybody plays different music, and it's beautiful that way. Everybody dances differently, and it's beautiful that way. Everybody writes and speaks and does everything differently, and it's beautiful that way. So you can't mix up like symbiosis with and non-symbiosis and call that like not it's a gap there. They're missing something, and whatever it is, it's being hidden behind like this beautiful like idea of the future.
Those and the Secret Space Program Alliance Council have been following this.
See, this is that Secret Space Program Alliance Council. Like, what? Who the like? Man, like, so that this is basically, so I can say I got a Secret Space Alliance program like upstairs, yeah, and they're telling you know all this. They come out with this information, and we're the only people, and we can't release any information right now because it's not matching with the consciousness of humanity right now. So like anybody can make that if they got a large enough following behind them, they can like come up with whatever kind of like information when they got this Secret Space Alliance from them. Just talk about what's going on. Like there's nothing hidden. If it's already, like I was saying, if it's already old, if it's already happened, this stuff has already been existing like this, then what are you talking about all this secret stuff for? You already putting yourself out there as like missing a point.
And also it goes back to the Blue Avian message that they've delivered. And there's been a lot of people out there that have been under the misunderstanding that this is a new ET race, savior race that are coming to save humanity. And there's a lot of people that are sitting back waiting for some light forces.
That's what's happening
to come and save humanity.
Yeah.
And the Sphere Alliance, they're out there to help even the playing field, but they've been.
So that's them trying to like push. This is in. He's trying to put like release a pressure release valve of the kind of perspectives that they're getting from people who are saying like, what are you waiting for? Like I was saying, the images, the indigenous cultures and the connection to spirit has already existed here on this earth plane. If you're not understanding that to the depths and the ancient cosmologies, the ancient teaching, that the basics of our DNA, the atomic nature of our whole creation and our experience, and you're still sitting here talking about secret space alliance and avian sphere beings and all this stuff who are coming and give you any kind of information. You already on substitute mode.
Made it very clear that, like the Hopi said, we are
mix in like the stuff to make you believe it.
We've been waiting for. That we.
That's the main point. You hear what he just said? It's like the Hopi said, it's us. It's only us that are going to be able to. So that just kind of just removes all of this stuff about secret space alien stuff that they're talking about in the first place. Like the true balance of our nature is very simple. Nature is very simple. It's not complicated at all. Like the harmonics are able to be in cognitively understood and intuitively felt and seen. You don't need any kind of externalized extraterrestrial secret space program to come or alliance to tell you like what it is. It's ultimately in your coding already, in your elders' stories already, in the heart of the inner children. It's already there. So this is just destroying their whole foundation to begin with. So, but they got to link in that stuff with these little subtle keys in order to get you to believe that you need to be listening to them and what they're talking about. And now, I'm not like trying to like destroy everything that they're all about. I'm just saying like look at it a little deeper and don't just like because the alien agenda is already all throughout Hollywood. It's all throughout all this other stuff, and they haven't pulled that card yet. And these people, these individuals like Corey Goode, David Wilcock, and if Michael Tellinger is on here too with them, I'm going to ball him up in this too because he's in this video talking about I agree completely. So if they're coming out with all this stuff, they're a part of that card move or that chess move at the same time. So, yeah.
For clearing up our own mess, to coming up with the solutions, to
clearing up our own mess. Like, and how deep does that mess go? How far has it gone? How long has it existed? What mess? Who's taking the brunt of that mess they're talking about? And when they're getting ready to start talking about forgiveness, like, how can you dictate what somebody else's forgiveness equates to or should equate to? Like, you don't know how much needs to be forgiven, yet they're getting ready to tell you we need to go on this and do all this.
Defeating the Illuminati, Cabal, Secret Earth government groups.
There's that villain stuff I was talking about. They got to make this villain so they can bring in the hero. And these alien extraterrestrial stuff is that hero.
Society, and that it is up to all of us to stop pointing out all of our differences, all the things that make us different, all of the things that...
See what I was saying earlier? Like, they just want to ball it up. They want to say, oh, humanity's all one. Yeah, that's true in one sense. At the same time, what does this all mean? What is the metaphysicality of the colors here, the stories here, the energy here? What are these stories about? So this is that next move that's talking about like, oh, we need to throw all our differences out of the window and stop separation. It's not that simple. Like, it's simple, but when you try to like ball it up, it's not that simple. Like, when it's only not that simple because they're making this complicated by not wanting to look into the simplicity of this. They just want to stay in this sub-level, which is very complicated. They're creating a storyline for people to believe in instead of going to the depths of it and really addressing like how far this goes. So they want to like make an artificial simplicity by saying like it's all about humanity. We're all one in that whole thing. Yeah, that exists on one level. Yes, it is that simple on one level. But it's not the only thing that exists. And if we don't address all of these issues at the same time, we're going to fall into some more traps that we're holding ourselves in an ignorant space of.
Apart and start focusing on all the things that we have that are similar.
See, that's true, but that's only half of the truth. So they only, and then they're like, oh yeah, it's beautiful. Like you should like agree with that in one way.
Forgiving other people,
yes,
becoming forgiving
definitely.
of ourselves. There's a lot of forgiveness that needs to happen between tribes and nations.
Yes, between tribes and nations. Yes. Okay. When you start talking about forgiveness in tribes and nations, you're talking about, and you're not referencing colonialism, if you're not referencing basically smallpox blankets and genocide and eugenics, if you're talking about all that, how the hell could you even reference that? And then just immediately transition into like, oh, it's all good, it's all okay now. Like they're getting ready to start. You'll see. They're not gonna say any of that stuff I just mentioned. They're just gonna say tribes and nations and forgiveness and not talk about anything like that. Like, and when you reference it, it's a little deeper. It's a lot deeper than just that.
We need to move past that and start working on projects like the one you're talking about in detail that will help us come together and solve these problems ourselves.
That's my main point.
After doing the inner work and come up with these solutions,
they haven't done
instead of waiting
the deeper inner work to understand like how deep they have to go.
Again, you took the words right out of my mouth. I always tell people in my workshops, in the Ubuntu workshops, that we are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the wave of the new age. And we can't sit on our backsides and wait for somebody to come and save us. And this is always a problem. People are waiting for some sort of a knight in shining armor, some external savior. We have everything encoded in our DNA. We are co-creators of our own reality. So let's create this own reality. Let's focus on a positive outcome for humanity. Let's stop fear-mongering. Let's stop talking about the dark, negative stuff. Well, we can talk about it, but as a platform of knowledge and information that we then use to launch ourselves into this new utopian world. And I like to use the word utopian specifically because utopian is a good word.
Before Z wanted, he said like, oh, let's not talk about it. Oh, but I have to say we should talk about it. Oh, well, let's talk about it, but only if it's used as a platform to launch us in a utopian world. Like, you don't even know what the hell we need to be talking about, first of all, to the depths, if we haven't spoken about it yet. Like, you're already moving into fifth gear. We're still trying to understand and heal and forgive and learn how to forgive of the second gear and third gear and fourth gear of this whole human storyline. Yet they're already trying, this is what the whole alien agenda about, an extraterrestrial agenda is about. It's just, forget about all that stuff. Don't talk about it. Just move into the new age. That's what this is. That's what this storyline is. And they're gonna just like want to sell it to you through utopian storylines and all this stuff, and never really want to talk about what really happened here. People cannot heal if they are not recognized and as what has happened to them. People cannot heal and move into that space of whatever kind of utopian understanding that they're getting ready to talk about if they haven't been recognized that this stuff exists. Like, for these people to sit up here and talk about this stuff the way they talk about it is inherently cancerous in the long run and in the short term, because people who are still like sitting around right now who are taking the brunt of this system are looking at them like, what are they talking about? Like, they don't know. They're not like connecting with a large majority of the population on this planet simply because they want to just move on. And that's a big problem.
It's not a bad word. Oh, it's just a utopian idea. Yeah, I like utopian. It's a good word, right? Let's use utopian more. And I just want to also add, because we mentioned the word like barter and all that stuff, I just want to firstly say that the whole Ubuntu contributionism philosophy is not a philosophy about creating self-sustaining communities. It's creating communities of abundance, because we live on a planet of abundance. One apple tree
See,
creates
all this stuff is true.
thousands of apple trees.
Like, we
not
have
one
this.
other
We don't
apple tree,
need
right?
technology
And
and
each one of us is capable of
the
creating
extremes of
infinite abundance
technology
if
and
we
money
let
and that
to
whole
create
thing.
and do,
We already
express
have
our natural
abundance
talents that we're
without
born with. So it's creating
the
communities of
currency.
abundance and not bartering or trading or replacing the money system with any form of exchange. As long as you got any kind of form of exchange,
See, a lot of
it is
this stuff
open
makes
to
sense. It's like,
exploitation.
it's very
And somebody will
knowledgeable.
find a way to use that against the people for their own benefit.
All right, well, I'm sorry to end it right now. Well, it's just getting good, but that's all the time we have for in this particular episode. We're going to be back next time, continuing this fascinating discussion with the insider's insider,
Whatever,
Corey
dude.
Goode, and with Michael Tellinger.
That's what I feel when I hear him
face
talk.
behind
Whatever,
the
dude.
Ubuntu movement. As always, we want to thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Whatever, dude. So, that's my whole point on the whole, like, extraterrestrial alien agenda and how stuff is being sold in. Is like, there's good ideas. Yes, we need to be looking at abundance on the planet and getting out of the fiat chains that lock us all down and separate us. Yes, this is all part of it. But my point is, if we don't address all of the issues that are all encompassing that existed in our past that led up to our present, then we're not going to be able to understand what our future is to be to the highest potential that it could be. Like, if we're still just trying to, like, jump off of the present and not understand the past at the same time, then that's going to be a big mistake. But they're leading off on this mistake, and there's a huge following in this whole world of alien, like, warship and extraterrestrial, like, savior mentality, new age world stuff. So I'll just leave it there. That's pretty much it. And yeah, so thank you for joining me. Until next time, peace, love, and harmony.